The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here he is, Brandon.
This is the podcast stage, the final day, day 3 of PopCon Louisville. We have a full slate today with shows starting now at 11. Next, we'll have the Kinda Nerdy Girls at noon. The Ville Chillin' podcast, that's a local one, at 1. We'll have a PopCon Volunteers podcast thing at... I followed 2, comes after 1. And then at 3 o'clock, Poorly Described Movies, the game, which you can come, win a prize. You were Blank Man, weren't you? Fair enough. All right. But we're going to get kicked off here with Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. He is one of your moderators here at PopCon.
Now, I was told you're supposed to hit record.
Yeah, that's it. So someone's like, did you forget to hit record sometime? I'm like, no, my brain says I'm going to. So I do. I preemptively do it. But no one has given me crap about forgetting the C here that I put. So I always have fun with the record signs for behind the scenes when people come to record. Because just hitting, I don't know, boring. I'm a person who gets like, with emails and stuff, my salutation, I always make it colorful stuff like, like hello, so, hello, come on, if I'm writing a bunch of emails in a day, I want to make them colorful and, people remember that. But how are you this weekend?
Well. Having fun. It's been a good trip.
When'd you get in?
I got here Friday.
Friday? Okay. Friday. So how many panels have you moderated so far?
Moderated 2 panels. Mike Coulter.
Okay.
Played Luke Cage.
I meant to get you a question for that.
And a couple of the cast from Stranger Things.
Okay, cool. So Coulter, I was talking to KJ. I'm like, I gotta so he's in plane. He's going the sequel Ship. If it's a trilogy, I wanted him to say what vehicle it would be, or what. I was like, would it be a rocket or something like that? But
now I have to admit, I was much more familiar with Luke Cage than I was with Stranger Things.
Gotcha.
Because I've always been more of a Marvel superhero kind of guy, not necessarily the scientific supernatural stuff. But hey, it's all a big giant Venn diagram.
Yes.
But when I was talking to the 2 cast members from Stranger Things, it was interesting because once again I go back to a Star Trek 4 reference here. When the probe comes in and and Spock is like, well, we could respond. Like, well, we'll just respond to it like, well, we'd be responding in gibberish.
Right.
And so I feel like when I was talking to the Stranger Things folks, I know enough of the language just to sound semi-intelligent and speaking in gibberish, but don't ask me anything too involved.
So when you go to do something like the Stranger Things, and you're like, I'm not familiar, what's your preparation like for that? Because you got to, there's going to be a whole bunch of people who are in the audience. So what would your preparation be like for that?
Well, luckily, there's Wikipedia.
Yes.
And there's also the Stranger Things website. So, luckily I'm familiar with the basic premise of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so for something like that, is I sort of have my general questions in, and have also been an attorney and a political reporter, you can sort of follow up on the questions and see where that leads you, then kind of maybe sort of take it down from there. Like, I could ask about this or ask about this.
Right.
Then the standard questions, how much of your character is involved in what you do on, so sort of the very basic, generic, how'd you get your start, what's next for you.
Right.
What do you love most about the series? What was the one thing that I won't say that you hate the most, but if you could maybe sort of change or make a moderation, what would it be? Gotcha.
That's cool. Yeah, I had to do one year. They were like, "Hey, we need someone for a Richard Horvitz panel," and he was like a voice actor for Invader Zim, and I didn't know anything, so I quickly look up stuff. But then I just decided to take it at an angle of acting preparations and things like I know that stuff, and I don't know if the audience liked that, but I got it to Q&A real fast, and then after he was like, "Hey, do you got a few minutes?" And I was like, okay. I was like walking to his booth. He took me over, introduced me to his wife. He's like, he had the best questions I've ever had in a while. Like, I don't get to talk about it. I was talking about how, in the shower when I get my voice ready. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went in a direction he liked, but the audience was like, they wanted him just to do impressions as he answered questions and stuff like that.
Well, it's like if I meet somebody, one of our celebrities here, and I'm going to have a couple minutes with them, I always try to find stuff that we know what they're known for.
Right.
Try to look like stuff that they weren't necessarily known for. Like when George Takei I met him at the PopCon. I want to say up in like Washington State. 'Cause I love Seattle.
Okay.
And so like, hey, wasn't it like a movie with John Wayne?
Oh yeah.
So I went back and like, hey, weren't you in blah blah? Like, yep, sure was. Like, oh, nice. And it's always good for them to like, hey, they appreciate the fans, but hey, they also appreciate, hey, I'm known for more than other than X, Y.
Right. Yeah. So I have a friend. She goes to conventions and stuff, and she always will text me and be like, I want to go to the panel for this person. What do I ask? Because she knows I know these key questions. So because she had one. The Hound from Game of Thrones came to like Indiana Comics Convention one year, and she wanted to ask a question. I'm like, well, he's in a movie with Michael Fassbender called Slow West that just wrapped production. Ask him about that. She did. He lit up, talked all about it, and kept finding her all weekend. Just to be like, hey, and she was like, I was like, you nailed it. I'm like, yeah, that's what you do. And like I met Tony Todd one time at a convention and asked him about this. He was in with Ray Parker Jr. He was in this like movie that was like The Raid, but it was in the 80s. It was like Escape from Apartment. He played this scary drug dealer guy. He was like, what?
Yep.
And this woman came over to give him medicine and was trying to like move him away from me. And he goes, hey, ma'am. And she's like, yeah. He goes, I think you think there's a problem here, but the thing you don't realize is you're the problem. This is the realest conversation I've had all weekend, and I don't want it to end, so you can go. I was like, oh, wow. It was the kind of the dad hit mom across the dinner table type uncomfort. Yeah. But then he turned to me, he's like, hey. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah, because I always like to, hey, people, take their time, energy, and effort. Obviously, they're compensated. Otherwise, you can't do anything for free because you still got to eat.
Yeah.
Between jobs and everything. So I always try to make their stay an interview as pleasant as humanly possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I blew people like PopCon people's minds, and they're like, "We got Handsome Man." And I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "Crossroads," and they're like, "Crossroads." I'm like, "The Britney Spears movie." They're like, "He was in that." I'm like, "Yeah, he was the guy that she liked in that movie." They're like, "Oh my god!" That none of them knew. I'm like, "Ask him about it when you go there." Like someone on the, I don't know if KJ did, but
Exactly.
But so have there been any like dream moderating celebrities that you've gotten to do? Like, oh my gosh.
I won't say dream as much as I will say just people who I've got to meet at Comic-Cons and PopCons and Gen Cons over the past few years. And for me, where I turned total and complete fanboy was when William Shatner was here.
Oh, okay.
So I actually got to meet
that's cool.
him. I actually wanted to talk for a few minutes. It's like, wow.
All right.
I was like, Mr. Shatner, I'm a total dork. Please forgive me. I know you get this all the time. It's like, no, son, you're fine. Blah 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 blah.
Gotcha. So you're a big Trek guy.
Yes.
When did you come into the fandom of Star Trek?
When I was like 8 years old.
8 years old? Was it? Where did you find it at?
Channel 32, WFLD TV, and reruns.
Gotcha. Yeah. I found it when Nick at Night started airing it, and that's when back in the day, it was probably early 90s or something, and that's when I discovered Star Trek and stuff like that. So have you been, just from then on, did it grow? Well, obviously it grew, but...
I am a original series, Kirk is my...
And that's it? Have you gone to, do the other ones, or...?
Next Generation I like Next Generation second. Mm-hmm. Deep Space Nine, Voyager...
Oh, Deep Space Nine is secretly one of the best.
I mean, I get it. At the end of the day, I'm a Captain Kirk person.
Gotcha.
I love Star Trek Generations.
Oh, that's a fun one, yeah.
I don't need to be lectured by you. I was out saving the galaxy when your grandfather was in diapers. Plus, I figured the universe owes me one. Oh, yeah, I just feel like, duty, loyalty.
Yeah.
What a gift. Empty house, empty chair. Not this time. It's like, he's such an asshole. And I love this guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I loved his, I mean, he carried it to one of the greatest SNL sketches of all time when he was like, get a life.
Get a life. Which is evil Captain Kirk, the enemy mine.
Yeah.
That your face is on the sun because this convention's going full of speed.
Do you have 5 favorite episodes you can name off of Star Trek?
Mirror, Mirror.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go to the opposite universe. The one where he meets Edith Keeler, Joan Collins.
The City on the Edge of Forever? That's like one of the greatest written episodes of television ever.
City on the Edge of Forever. The one with Vic Tay back when they go to the one planet where there's the 1920s gangsters.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember that, yeah.
That one, when Spock burns for Pon Farr.
Oh, yep. Yep, okay. Very cool.
And obviously, my favorite one is, of course, Space Seed.
Space. Oh yeah, Space Seed. Yeah, that's the the prequel to Wrath of Khan, basically. But yeah, in movies, is Wrath of Khan your top, or is that?
I go back and forth between 2, 4, and 6.
2, 4. Okay, yeah. I like I told you, like 6 is my second favorite. 4 would probably go right after that. I will argue for the motion picture, specifically the director's cut where they tightened it up.
I mean, we don't have 20 minutes of extra footage.
Yeah, no, it's literally a shorter version of it, but I visually like it a lot, and I see what it's going for and appreciate it, and over time I've kind of like warmed a lot more to that one.
I was like that with Star Trek V. It just grew on me after a while.
There's something there, but what wasn't there was like money to finish what they were trying to do. So, yeah, hello. Hey, you a Star Trek fan? All right.
Spider-Man fan, though.
Spider-Man fan. So you big Marvel guy? You big DC?
I'm an establishment comic book guy. I'm a Marvel, DC person. The independent titles, whatever. But I've always been in more Avengers and Justice League.
Okay.
I want my superheroes to want to be superheroes. Oh, I'm the X-Men. Look at me. I'm a mutant. Blah, blah, blah. No one likes me. I was born with special powers. Blah, 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 blah.
This team drama. All right. Oh.
Huh.
You fight demons. A demon slayer and a demon. All right.
Are you guys from Washington, D.C.? Because there's a lot of demons there these days. You'll be busy cutting off heads. Trust me. Whether the demon has a D or an R next to its name, it's still a demon. It doesn't matter. All right, that's my political commentary for the day.
There we go. What are you here to see? A what? Bunch of booths? All right. Just same girl. It's a working microphone. Yeah, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. She can never? All right. I'll take that as a compliment.
So I guess you're Taylor Swift for never, ever, ever getting back together?
Never, ever. No. Mm-mm. I do know that I'm the problem. It's me. So, typically.
It's like my brother in his fourth marriage. Like, dude, at what point are you the one constant in this equation? At what point is the problem you?
Yeah. Let's look at the pattern we got going on here. Dun dun dun. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. All right. Have a good one. Thank you for coming, PopCon. All right. So we're talking Marvel DC. You don't like the whiny X-Men. It's teen drama. It's soap opera. That's it.
Whatever.
I was talking.
I'm an Avengers, Justice League of America.
Gotcha. You like the business organization.
I like my superheroes to want to be superheroes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was telling.
Like the Defenders. What the hell are they supposed to be doing?
I don't. Making sure the garbage gets taken out safely and.
Like you live in the village in Doctor Strange's house. Okay, and what do you do?
Yeah.
Where's your trouble alert?
Well, I was telling Patches and KJ the other day. I'm like, I've lived to see all the like ones that were cool when I was growing up, and I become uncool like at some point. Like I've seen Batman used to be just Batman rules, but now you got people that don't think Batman rules. Superman was always like big, but now I'm like I don't know, he's boring. I'm like, oh okay.
Well, the thing is, I always tell people there's technically nothing new under the sun.
Right.
I mean, these storylines have been written since our parents were like small.
Right. Yeah.
Small kids, and eventually you stick around long enough, you see everything about 2 or 3 different.
Yeah, that's why I always say
Darkseid is really Thanos.
Right. Yeah, they're copies of copies.
Nightwing is really Batman.
Yeah, Green Arrow and Hawkeye, and but I was saying I want that stuff where they just really mess with it and change with Batman stuff. We have so much just standard Batman. I'm I like Gotham by Gaslight. Stuff like that, where you can put him in a Jack the Ripper scenario back in the day and see how he would work then, or just weird offshoot
I would say one
stuff.
of the best comic series I've read in a really, really long time was when DC did this back in the early 90s. They did their Elseworlds.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Series where they just changed the origin just a little bit or had one little small thing happen. Because there was one where Superman actually kills Batman.
Yeah.
And then there's one where Superman ends up gets Green Lantern's ring.
Right. Well, that's like the Batman Begins script when before Nolan came on, they had Aronofsky on there, and he wrote one where like Alfred was a mechanic and Bruce Wayne was like homeless for a bit, and it was like really interesting stuff. And they're like, no, we can't do that.
No.
At that time, I understand because that's literally the movie that follows Batman and Robin in terms of production, and they had to build a trust back after that. But I was like, that'd be interesting to look at now. If someone could make an animated movie based off his script, I'd want to see it.
I will say this: one thing about your mainstay heroes, like your Supermans, your Batmans, your Spider-Mans, to a lesser degree, your Captain Americans and Fantastic Four, everybody basically knows the origin.
Right, yeah.
Just so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on the origins.
No, that's why I like Spider-Man. Now they skip the origin. But, man, the Warner Brothers, they love showing them Wayne's die. That's like a tradition. They're like, oh, well, okay, that's great. But how are you going to kill the Waynes this time? Like, I mean, that Joker movie, I laughed in the theater when I saw what was going to happen. Spoilers for a movie that's like 5-6 years old. And I saw that. I was like, oh, God. Really? Like, was that a mandate to, like, hey, Todd, we really like your movie, but can you add that the Waynes go in an alley during the riot? And I was like, oh, gosh. Like,
Joker was okay. It's like, whatever.
People, yeah, I thought it was fine. It looked really nice, but like I watched Martin Scorsese movies, so I'd seen all that. I was like, oh, he's doing that, and he's doing that, and like he's doing King of Comedy meets Taxi Driver.
It's like, what, John Wayne's a Joker now? What, huh? Or the Emperor from the movie with whatchamacallit? He played the Emperor.
Oh, the Gladiator.
Yeah, Gladiator.
Yeah, which we're getting Gladiator 2 now.
Great.
Hey, if Denzel's doing it, I feel like there's some kind of promise, but that's usually, I'm like, he's pretty picky with things. I don't really care for the Equalizer movies, but usually everything he does, I'm like, I feel like there's a... It's like,
Equalizer just to make money.
Yeah, and Denzel then, like, those are the only movies he's done, like, sequels to. Like, and so if he's doing a Gladiator 2, he's already worked with Ridley Scott before, so that's, that's not a thing. But
by the way, speaking of Ridley Scott, I also just saw Alien Romulus.
Did you like that? I was talking about it on stage yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yep, yesterday.
It took a while to get to the point.
A little bit. They're trying to build the dread, the ambiance, but I liked how they were.
But once again, if you're going to see Alien Romulus, you know what happens.
Right. Right.
I spent so much time expository.
I did like the action sequences felt very innovative. Like they weren't just going to repeat action sequence done before. They had the little walk silently with the face huggers, and then the blood zero gravity thing was awesome. I like that.
And they use AI to recreate what's his face.
Yeah, that's the controversy going on, but
it's a movie, people.
These things are going to happen now.
It's just a movie.
Yeah.
Move on. It's called a movie.
Yeah.
You go for 2 hours. You have popcorn, Diet Coke.
Well, I know people got upset when Rogue One came out, and
Why?
they did the Peter Cushing thing. They were just like, but I was like, to me, Star Wars, in addition to loving the story and characters and stuff, is always supposed to me be something that shows you pushing special effects, because that's what the originals did. That's what the prequels went into with digital and CG stuff, tried to push it. Force Awakens was like, hey, watch us do the old kind of thing way again. But then Rogue One was like, look, we can recreate people. And they're like, that's morbid. He died. I'm like, yeah, but he literally appeared with that likeness in Star Wars Rebels, in Clone Wars. But that's a cartoon. I'm like, well, what's the difference?
By the way, so did Princess Leia.
Yeah, and so did Princess Leia there. So it's like, I don't know. Like,
it's called a movie.
It is called a movie. Not a crime.
Just a movie, people.
Yeah, keep telling yourself it's just a movie.
By the way, in the Ten Commandments, that water really didn't move. It was a special effect.
Right.
When they crossed the Nile River. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, and I know that
10,000 BC, those weren't really woolly mammoths.
No? Oh, they had me fooled. Thought they found some time travel, went back. Yeah. So yeah, there's debates on that stuff, and I'm like, it's kind of doesn't matter at the end of the day, but you want to carry their. They could have just recast them. I'm like, yeah, but they didn't.
Now you want to have a debate, Kirk versus Picard. That's a debate.
That's a debate. Not pull string Luke on the Mandalorian Boba Fett, where he's just like saying lines that are like, use the Force, Grogu.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Like, that's what my friend called him. He's like, oh, it's pull string Luke. That's all he did was say like classic lines to him. But
exactly. It's not hard to do. Oh, also, I did see Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised because in the previews it was like, Deadpool 3, 2 was sort of like, not sure about all this. But no, actually, I really liked it, really enjoyed it. And spoiler alert, because if you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not going to go see it. When Chris Evans showed up, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Captain America, Johnny Storm, well done.
Oh, you got fooled?
Did not see that.
Oh, I knew it was coming. I was like, it's gonna be Johnny Storm. I
was like, Marvel, well done.
Yeah.
Because now it seems like with Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel kind of got back sort of their original magic.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the first Thor, first Iron Man, first Captain America, those were all great. Second Thor, second Iron Man, second Captain America, Winter Soldier. I thought it was some good. I thought Captain America was like the best out of all the.
I think that the Captain America Winter Soldier is the best job the Russos have done.
Yeah.
I think they peaked and have like. I'm glad they're back where they were doing well, because the stuff after they left Marvel was. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, basically you start mass producing movies.
Yeah.
It's like a restaurant that becomes famous, and everybody's there now, and they lose a little bit of their specialized.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's got the sauce now.
Yeah. Captain America, Captain Marvel, wasn't bad.
The Scotty's Brewhouse effect. We have good stuff. Now we have everything. Now we're closed.
Yes.
If they get that reference, did they go nationwide or just throughout Indiana? I can't remember.
I think just Indiana.
Just Indiana, yeah. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, you got a good thing going. Then sort of mass produce, and you sort of forget why we did this in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Funko Pops. Funko Pops, but there's so many of them.
I can't buy them anymore. The last two they got me after I had retired was they came out with the Roger Moore James Bond and a Sean Connery James Bond, and they had Jaws and the Donald Pleasance Blofeld with the cat. And I'm like, okay, I don't have James Bond doesn't make figurines and stuff for me to collect or anything. So I was like, I have to have some of those. But then they came out with the rest of Bond stuff. I was like, nope, not doing it.
Well, actually, for my wife's birthday this year, I'm actually getting her Funko Pop bobblehead of me, her, and our two dogs.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can get them personalized.
Yeah, it's gone so far. They're like, what do we do now? You can be the Funko Pop. Yep. That's what goes on. Is your wife into this stuff too?
Of course not.
Yeah, me too. I did find it was funny. I found a con. It got like advertised to me in one of my socials, and it was called I think it's called Epic Con, and it was like Grey's Anatomy people in those Chicago Med shows. And I was like, there you go. And she's like, well, they're not on the show anymore. I'm like, yeah, you don't get the AP. Like Ellen Pompeo is not going to this con, but it was fine. She's like, fine, whatever. I'm like, we can go if you want. You'll go to my stuff, but I thought it was kind of funny.
No, my wife, she's more of a. How can I say this? She's more of a Lifetime, Discovery, crime TV type person.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't think about all these women who are killing their husbands when they sleep. I'm like, honey, you trying to tell me something here? Is there something I need to know?
Gotcha. My editing ambiance sometimes is old reruns of Unsolved Mysteries. That and reruns of Dark Shadows at Pluto TV. My favorites are the Doctor Who channel, the classic Doctor Who channel, Unsolved Mysteries, and Dark Shadows. I use it when I'm editing stuff. I just put them on the background and chill. So,
yeah, no, my wife loves the Marvel movies.
Gotcha. Yeah, my wife she wants to go to all the Marvel stuff right when it comes out, but
as far as my comic books and stuff, sorry, sweetie, you came with me. Sorry.
I discovered recently that someone shared something from a convention and was like, can't believe I walked away with this for $70. And it was an issue of the Batman Adventures, which was basically Batman, the animated series episodes adapted in a comic that came out in the 90s. And I collected those, and I was like, I think I have that issue, $70. And I started looking on eBay. It goes from $600 to $1,300. And these are people actually bidding. So it's not like it's listed and no one's buying it. So I was like, oh my God. I went in my comic chest it was actually bagged and boarded. Pages are white still. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I didn't care that I had this for the longest time. Now I know it's worth money. And now I'm like, do I keep it? Or she goes, you going to sell it? Because she's like, oh, You know what? That you should
I
sell
bought this is a few years ago.
it. Pointless comic, but the moral of the story, why it's worth, it's the first appearance of Harley Quinn in a comic book. So that's why it's worth so much, yeah.
Yeah, but this is years ago. Downtown Comics, my favorite comic book proprietor here in Indianapolis.
We're in
They had a shameless plug, yay, go Doug. It was Avengers number 9, the first modern day appearance of Wonder Man,
Okay.
and it was actually autographed by Stan Lee.
Oh, wow.
And so I bought it for like $300. It's now worth like almost $2,000. Just basically sitting in the case in my office on a shelf somewhere.
I did have something. Are you going to just, that's it? Well, yeah, because there's attachment to it. There's like.
Yeah, but I can get rid of it for the right price.
For the right, yeah. Always for the right price. Yeah, I had these original McFarlane figures of Jason and Freddy when they first came, like their first figures McFarlane did for them. I worked at Toys R Us, so I would get first access to things at the time, and I kept them, and I would display them in their package and display them in the package. And then my son, when he was like 5 or something, was like, "Why you got like that?" I'm like, well, you know, it's worth more money in the package and da-da-da and all this stuff. And he's like, oh, when are you going to sell them? I'm like, I never. And he's like, then why do you leave it in the package?
Because it's worth more.
I said that, but then I was like, I'm never going to sell them. Like, they're with me till the end. So I was like, but I was like, you know what? I took them out of the package, and I have made posed them and stuff like that. And then the funny thing is, when he was getting toys and stuff when he was little, he'd call it like, oh no, they're for display. Just like, because I would have figurines and stuff. He's like, this display. And he would always set up his shelves like he
like
didn't play with toys.
Like those Elvis plates and juice glasses.
Yeah, he didn't play with toys. He set them up to display. Like, I was like, I felt I maybe failed somewhere, but I was like, oh boy.
Well, one time my wife asked me, and I'm not making this up. She's like, honey, I have a question for you. Like, what? If I needed a kidney, would you sell your comic books? It's like, well, sweetie, let me put it this way. I love you dearly, and I hope you have a nice, long, healthy life. However, if it comes down between you and Fantastic Four number 4, the first modern-day appearance of the Submariner, I love you. Don't get me wrong. But trying to find a repeat value, a repeat Fantastic Four number 4, first modern-day appearance of the Submariner, that's probably going to be a little hard to find. I will love you, and I will miss you.
We'll cross our fingers for that free kidney.
And I'll put your picture right up next to my Fantastic Four number 4, the first modern day appearance.
We'll have you sign your own picture before, and yeah.
Well, I plan to go all Star Wars in my own funeral and do my own eulogy.
There you go. So do you still collect comics?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Still collect, and like, how big is your collection?
Too big.
How many rooms and
3
boxes?
states.
3 states? Oh wow. Okay.
Storage, 3 states.
Now, have you been consistent with what you've reading, or has it changed over time? Because like different.
When I first started rediscovering comics, like buy them on a regular basis back in like the early '80s.
Yeah.
I was basically 4 books.
Okay.
I was the Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and at the time like West Coast Avengers.
Okay.
Then I picked up Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. And then when John Byrne revamped Superman back in 1986, it's like, okay, A, I love the artwork. Number 2, this Superman isn't this ultimate, always so powerful. The only way he could beat him was with a kryptonite baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like, he actually, they took him down a notch in the power scale. And so now what used to be 4 or 6 books a month is now maybe like 50.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah, I have intermittently. Well, I was a big comic book collector in the 90s. Like, right when I started, Robin died, and then they killed Superman. That was just killing people, I guess, when I was doing it. And then, like, I went to college, didn't have the money for comics. And then when Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out with a comic book line that Whedon was writing, I was like, well, I'm getting back into comics now. So I got into that for a long time. Then I moved from Los Angeles to Indianapolis, was jobless for a year and a half, so comics had to go away. I did find Walking Dead during that time, and I was really into that. Went away. And then I came back. They were doing this independent company did a line of Lucio Fulci, Italian horror director, adaptations of his movies, and I was collecting those, and those were neat because they came in sleeves, and they packed them with stickers and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm currently in a non-comic phase.
I go back and forth. I mean, I haven't stopped buying.
Right.
Even when in that 94, 95, when Marvel just got god-awful bad, horrible, the whole Carl Icon and Toy Biz and all, and the stories were just really, really bad and really, really crappy. That was one time when I almost okay, I can't do this anymore. I mean, DC was fine.
Yeah.
Marvel just sucked to no end. And then 96, they did sort of the Heroes Return. I was like, okay, we're back.
Yeah. I lived through when I was coming up, Clone Saga for Spider-Man. X-Men did the whole revamp and redid all the X stuff. They killed Xavier and all this stuff, and it was a really messy time. I found out. I don't know how I kept going.
Clone Saga was annoying. X-Men Apocalypse, I get it. And I like the storyline, but it's just a bit too much.
Yeah.
Now, Secret Wars, great.
Yeah.
Secret Wars 2, not bad.
Where'd your first comic come from, by the way?
The Jewel. Grocery store. It was a grocery store chain in Chicago, owned by Country Market.
Gotcha.
That's what they got sort of bought out by. But they have the store. They have the comics on the old wire racks. You go in and pick them up, and then.
Okay, because you mentioned Secret Wars. My first came from a pack of Fruit of the Loom underwear. It was a Secret Wars issue and another one, and I was like, okay, pack. That's how comics were back then. But the grocery store. Did you ever subscribe to any where they mailed them to you?
No, but I did have a subscription service at my comic book stores.
Okay, so I never had that, but I got I subscribed because schools would do magazine subscriptions, and the comics were on there, and they would screw up and send you 4 of them. So I have Aunt May Dies, that issue 4 times. I don't know if they killed her multiple times, but it was the one with the tombstone on the cover that.
And that's what I love about. Marvel does this more than DC does. Whenever somebody tells me somebody's dead, I'll believe it when I don't see it.
Well, there used to be
because everybody will be back. They always come back.
There used to be the rule that the only people who ever stayed dead were Jason Todd, Gwen Stacy, and Uncle Ben. And nope, Jason Todd's alive. We got Gwenpool. We got Spider-Gwen.
And Uncle Ben comes back as a pigment of Peter's imagination.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, nobody stays dead. Which people are like, the Logan's death didn't matter. Brown. No, it does. It does, because if you watch him in an order at that crucial moment, that's what it means. That's what happens. And it's have you read comic books? You can do whatever. It's all made up. It's all fiction.
It's called an alternative timeline.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, it's just a movie. It's just a comic book. It just came from some silly thing from somebody's head, and they put it down, and we have fun with them.
Now, I will say this: when Superman died, I knew he was going to come back. But actually, was a TV reporter at the time and wrapping up my college semester, getting ready to graduate.
Okay.
And the last story I did was on the death of Superman.
Oh, okay.
Superman gets a steel kicked out of him by some guy named Doomsday. Blah 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 blah.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, he'll be back in a few months, and we'll be back too.
Right, yeah, because we had to sit through Steel, Superboy, that Cyborg. Yeah. It was a whole bunch of. I was going through that whole thing, and then he came back with they tried the black outfit, and then eventually he had the long hair though. That was the thing.
Superman with a mullet.
Mullet, yep, a '90s mullet. Yeah, I guess they were still going back then. That was.
I guess my question is, how does Superman cut his hair?
Yeah, he's infallible. Yeah, how does he? Just a little light bit of kryptonite, and a little shaver or something like. Yeah, he must. Did he take lessons if he gets it so good too?
It's how does Superman shave? How does Wolverine conduct a proctology exam?
Oh, that's funny. Are there any of the? I mean, what has been your thoughts on? So we talked about yesterday a bit on the stage to get your opinion. The phase of Marvel leading up to this Deadpool Wolverine post Endgame. What has been your opinion on it? Because we're fine. I'm just a lot of people very where was it going? What's doing this? But
well, like I said, Endgame I loved.
Mm-hmm.
Endgame was great, particularly when Captain America picks up Thor's hammer.
Yes. Crowd pleaser moments all over the place. Yeah.
Which I tell my wife, honey, because whenever we go see an Avengers movie, I'd break out the comic book honey, this is where they got this from, this is where they got this from. And so when they did a thing with Thor, Captain America picked up Thor's hammer. It's
Yeah.
like, honey, how'd he do that? Like, well, he did it in the book before.
Bring a stack to her, be like, read those. And
Yeah. When the Egyptian gods and Thor and Odin, blah, blah, blah. And Captain America picks up Thor's hammer because Captain America and Iron Man are in the middle of Civil War. They're having a big fight. So it all kind of ties together. And I totally get the fact that you can't do the movie exactly like the book. It's impossible.
Yeah, no, it's. I always tell people, I'm like, don't get mad. Like, adaptation is hard, and adaptation is one person's view of what they read and what, like, because the old school film thing used to be like, you read the book once for enjoyment, you read it the second time for notes, you throw the book away, you write the script, and that's how they used to do it. And it's like it's one person's vision of what they read, and I don't, and books don't easily translate to movies. Movies don't easily translate to a book. That's why and books are like messy too, because the novelizations of movies, like from like the probably from like the 50s to the 2000s, are collector's items because most of those were written off early scripts. So the writer had time; they didn't know of changes, and you know of things that happen. So those go for a ton. Like I had. We give away goofy prizes in one of my games, and one year my co-host Jessica gave away the novelization of Child's Play 2. Huh. I'm like, what are you doing? Do you know how much those are? I didn't know how much that one was worth. It was $85. She got it for $1 at like Goodwill, but I'm like, you need to watch. You can be careful with that, because she's like, paper. I'm like, there's a whole thing about paperbacks. Like it is insane. So
yeah, because like I said. I thought Endgame, they did a really good job of sort of wrapping everything up. But between Endgame and Wolverine Deadpool, it seemed kind of like Marvel sort of kind of lost their way a little bit.
Or were they trying to find a new one that they didn't find? You know, like, I don't know. Like, I have favorites from this. I think what maybe lacked was you need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Avengers movie. 1, 2, 3, 4 Avengers. Like, they're just a long, like, we don't have Shang-Chi 2 yet, you know? And that was a hit movie. People liked it, and now we're like years down the road, and it's like, it feels like ages ago. And I feel like we should have gotten that or seen them again at least somewhere.
Yeah. Like I said, when I look at the sort of the timeline of everything, which I get, and like, for example, and some of the standalone movies have actually been better than the non-standalone movies. I thought Captain Marvel wasn't bad.
The original Captain Marvel or the Marvels?
No, the Brie Captain Marvel.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that was actually...
That was one of my least favorites, honestly.
That was actually, relatively pretty decent.
Yeah.
Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah.
The Defenders. No. Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. I thought those were both really...
I like the first season of Jessica Jones might be my favorite of the Netflix shows. Her second season, not so much, but like that first season, awesome. Oh, thank you. Thanks, honey. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. Everybody has different. Like I love the Multiverse of Madness. I like that movie. They let Sam Raimi be Sam Raimi on it. I like the whole. All the people that the internet wanted as people came, and then they wiped them out. I thought that was hilarious, but then people...
Sharon Carter's Captain America.
Yes.
Or Captain Britain.
Anson was in that movie. I forgot. Yeah, this real funny stuff. I mean, because I don't know. I go to these movies. I have a good time. I don't hold them up as... I'm a film guy, so like... I like these movies, but I don't go, well, why isn't it up for Best Picture? Why didn't it win? You know, like I see where there's...
It's a Marvel superhero movie, that's why.
That's why. Yeah, there's a lot of people in there's a lot of people in the industry that hate anything with a CG effect holds back because you got a lot of old people that are like, no, my guys don't get work now because of this. There's like weird voting things with that, but I think some are deserving, and so it all stems from like people getting mad The Dark Knight didn't get nominated, and The Reader did because the Weinsteins had some money. But I think Black Panther getting nominated, that was cool. I like that one. That's one of my favorite ones. Do you like?
The first Black Panther was good. The second one with Namor the Submariner, I was like,
It's long. It's very because that first one, like, because I like Coogler, his work, and I feel like one of my friends says it.
By the way,
yeah,
My one editorial commentary about the first Black Panther film,
Yeah.
Killmonger was not a good guy. Killmonger
No.
was a bad guy. He was a jerk.
Huh.
He was a major butthole in the comic book.
Yeah.
He tried to kill the Black Panther and take his throne several times.
Yeah.
This whole, Black power woke, no, that's not Killmonger. Killmonger is a jerk.
Well, the thing with the Marvel villains is like, I stand for all these good things, but man, I just love killing people. Like that's all it's like we can have just a bad guy to be a bad guy ruthlessly. That's fine. But yeah, no, like
I liked Ultron. Ultron,
yeah.
he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He wants to kill all human life.
And I believe I think that Spader just got cast recently, coming back for something as Ultron. So I think in Doomsday. So you get to see Downey Jr. and Spader back together again. So that's pretty cool.
Only thing missing is Marissa Tomei.
Yes. But yeah, what was that? Yeah, like my friend said it best. Like he doesn't believe, because everybody's like, well, Marvel doesn't let their directors do their thing or whatever. But he's like, James Gunn, Ryan Coogler, they get to play with the same sandbox everybody else does. It just depends on who you are, like how you can manage with that. Because like I watched, Multiverse of Madness, I'm like, oh, Raimi's being Raimi. Like, and then you see some there's like there's some vanilla to it. Because they bring in these, I don't know, sometimes they bring in directors that aren't ready to make such a giant jump yet, and it gets left to second unit stuff a lot of the time. Because they'll bring them in and be like, I made this little indie, and they'll be like, well, we got second unit, and then they rely on that. But I don't know. I like the movies. I just sometimes I'm just like,
It's like
weird.
everything else. Sometimes
Yeah.
the movies are great, sometimes they suck.
Yeah.
But overall, they're not bad.
So you're a real big Fantastic Four guy, and are you feeling good about this?
Which version?
The one coming out next summer.
The Fantastic Four are always. I'm always cautiously optimistic
Gotcha.
because I remember the original Fantastic Four, and we're not talking the one from the 90s, 2000. We're talking the original one with a Human Torch outruns a laser.
Yeah.
It's like it was so bad. But I will say this.
So you're not talking about you're talking about the Corman one, or
Roger, yeah.
that was only made to keep rights and never be released? But I have a bootleg of it myself, so yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But I will say this. With Marvel, it didn't happen until they did the first Spider-Man movie back in '99. But it took forever for the technology to catch up to what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Once technology caught up, then they took off.
Gotcha.
'Cause I remember the old cheesy Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man, really bad Captain America where he's got the helmet and the shield.
Red brown Captain America with the motorcycle helmet. Yeah.
Lou Ferrigno and the Incredible Hulk, that was actually really good. That was actually a decent story.
I like that. Yeah. And it had the best, like, the sad music from that was like amazing.
There was one where Hulk met Daredevil and the Hulk met Thor.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this horrible.
And then they had the death of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And then we all cried. And yeah, it's such a good. And then there was the one. There was a Captain America, where the guy who wrote the Stalker Handbook. What's it called? What's the book that a lot of stalkers have read?
I'm not a stalker, so I could.
It's been found. So there's been like stalker people, and it's been found in their they're Catcher in the Rye. The guy who wrote that son played Captain America, I believe, in the 90s, the 1991 or so. Or they have the same last name.
Yeah, because the guy who played the president was actually the guy who played Bob Morton in Robotech, or RoboCop. He played the head bad guy.
Yes.
And that's why I know that. I just
So what was your opinion when the Joan Grufford and Jessica Alba one, Tim Story movie came out back in 2005, summer 2005? Were you okay with it? It was at different times of comic book movies and stuff, but how was it holding up?
I think the Jessica Alba ones hold up okay. I think that one they did in between, that it was released for like a week.
Yeah. Well,
where Sue Storm's brother was like black. I'm like, what in the world? How? Now, granted, race doesn't matter, but to a certain degree, it does. Iron Man can be basically any color, whatever. Black Panther probably got to be black.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I saw. Did you see the guy dressed as Ncuti Gatwa? The white guy dressed as the Black Doctor. Yeah. I saw that. I was like, all right, well, okay.
As long as you're not doing blackface.
Cool. The clothes are great. I and he was rocking it hard, but I was like, Oh, that I would, if you gotta question it, probably don't. But they didn't. But no, that one when you're watching, you're like, we're watching like a Cronenberg-esque Fantastic Four with body horror and stuff. I'm like, I'm down for that, but I feel weird watching this, and it's like but the director like got really drunk, locked himself away, did like all sorts of. But he made a found footage movie first, and then like, yeah, come do this. And then he was supposed to do a Boba Fett movie, which I think evolved into The Mandalorian. And he got like once that Fantastic Four stuff hit, he was canned from the Star Wars stuff.
Imagine that.
But I forget his name is Josh something. But like he made a really cool found footage movie with Michael B. Jordan. And it was a superhero found footage movie. It's a cool movie. And then Josh Trank.
Yeah. Here's how I judge a good Marvel DC movie.
All right.
Is it what I call a Sunday afternoon matinee, or is it Friday night full price?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And if it's a Sunday afternoon matinee, 1:00, the movie may suck, but I don't feel bad. I don't feel like I got robbed.
So it's like the Marvels. That's a Saturday afternoon one. Yeah.
If it's Saturday night, 7:00, and I feel like I wasted my money, then I'm going to be ticked off. Like Kong vs. Godzilla, great afternoon movie. Evening movie,
Okay. Yeah, I love the MonsterVerse. I think that's a healthy franchise right now. But those are just dopey, fun movies, and I think some people, they're always like, "Oh, the human camera." I'm like, dude, we're going to see two big giant things take things down. And then there was someone crying about. Walter Shong, well-known critic, was crying about the fact that they fought in like Egypt and landed on a pyramid and be like, that's just, taking. Why can't they fight? They always fight in city. Like, they need to be equal opportunity destroyers. They can destroy anything. It's not like, I hate these people, we're going to do this. But it's like,
put on this gray suit and step on this cardboard house.
Yeah. It's like, It's come on, anybody, just like when they pick on slasher villains, like they killed the gay guy. I'm like, they can get killed in a slasher too. Like he doesn't go, no, I'm not gonna. Jason's not gonna kill him.
Happy that black people aren't the first ones to die anymore.
No. They.
It's always some blonde woman wearing a prom dress,
right,
running in the dark.
Right. Oh, yeah. They mix it up a bit more. That's what they do. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. Do you want to plug wherever people can find?
Except I write mostly about politics and government, so I'm sorry.
See a whole nother side?
I go to this stuff so you don't have to. That's my rule. Abdul, just follow me at indiepolitics.org. That's my main website.
There we go. Very awesome. Very awesome. And are you doing any panels today?
No, actually, this is my last thing. I'm about to get in the car and head back up to Indy.
Well, I'm happy you stayed to talk to me for that. Appreciate that. All right. So thank you, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a short break on the podcast stage, and then we have the Kinda Nerdy Goyles coming up to, I don't know what they do, but they're going to have a good time.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.